I mean, I'm going to be doing my own interviews with people. Just the number of messages and comments and both good and bad
Yeah.
have been flooding. The positive ones have been really really good, and they're all encouraging me to keep going and stuff. And so it's
So you want to talk to maybe like do your own podcast where you talk to other people that have been falsely accused?
yeah, yeah, it's basically it.
Gotcha.
And just people that have been through that, and other stories of like malicious prosecution and wrongful convictions, and
Right.
what it does to people to go through that, because it's a helpless no-win situation. Even if you win, like me,
Right. Yeah.
even winning my trial, which I should have, I didn't do it, I was innocent. But even then, there's really no true victory, because there's nothing I can do about it. They played with my life. They tried to
Yeah.
throw me away. Tried to throw me away for life, and there's nothing I can do to them about it. And it's a pretty helpless state to be in, and you just kind of try to navigate that the best you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, have you had people argue that you're not innocent, you're just not guilty?
Oh yeah,
And
tons,
I'm,
hundreds,
yeah, I know
thousands.
it's a very
Yeah.
popular phrase, I guess.
As a matter of fact, there's an organization that I'm going to be doing some work with and interviewing a lot of people on the board. They're called the AFFA Association. I think it's like the Association of Fighting for the Falsely Accused or something like that. They
Hmm.
got a group on Facebook, and uh, throughout the last couple of years, I've became a member, and talked to them quite a bit. And one of the guys was a mayor in Texas, and there's teachers, and there's all these other people, and I'm going to be talking to them and interviewing them on my
Hmm.
show about their stories. And I posted a little clip on YouTube just to promote that. Hey, I'm talking. I did it for you. Like, hey, I'm
Hmm.
talking to you, and I'm talking to these guys soon. Somebody messaged him and said, "Don't interview this man." Blah blah blah. He was only found not guilty because there was a lack of evidence. I'm also a victim of him. Somebody took it that far. I'm also a victim of him. Well, there's only one person that's ever said I did anything of any sort. Oh, I guess two, but the ex-wife and the daughter. The ex-wife has accused me of everything under the sun. I mean, you
Hmm.
name it, she said I did it. So, but
Hmm.
you won't find another person on God's green earth that ever said that about me. But the fact that
Right.
somebody would do that, you know,
Yeah. I know.
I don't
People
know if
are.
it's somebody that I know, or somebody that doesn't like me, or somebody that just, likes
Yeah.
to be hurtful to people. I really have no idea. But I've been
Yeah.
dealing with that quite a bit since the interview came out.
God damn it. Sorry, I
Yeah,
just gotta adjust my camera. I am. Yeah, I have a friend that I don't know if you know the show Love on the Spectrum
I've heard of it.
on Netflix.
Yeah,
She was just on the new season, and like the shit people say to her, like I mean, it's 99% positive stuff,
yeah.
but then you get these comments online that are just like, "What the?
It's
Get a fucking
staggering.
life!
Yeah,
What the
like
fuck?"
so he releases the videos on Facebook and YouTube. And so he did YouTube first. And
Um, Soft white underbelly, you mean?
yeah, yeah, software
Oh, okay.
underbelly. And
Mark.
YouTube has been the majority positive.
Hmm.
When that thing hit Facebook, it's majority negative. And I
Hmm.
remember something he told me before I left the studio. He's like, "Yeah, I do it on YouTube and Facebook." And he goes, "I'll be interested to see what happens on Facebook, because my YouTube audience is predominantly male, and my Facebook audience is predominantly female." And I'm
Hmm.
thinking, it might not be that bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was shockingly bad. I only was only able to look at it one time. I got up first thing. It was the first thing I woke up in the morning. It was like last Monday, or maybe. And I get up, and the first thing you do, you look at your phone, gonna see what time it is,
Hmm.
and somebody had said, "Hey man, your video's on Facebook." So I was like, "All right." So I went and looked at it. It already had hundreds of thousands of views, and I just kind of scrolled, and every single comment was so fucking hurtful that it set me on a tailspin for all of last week. I was
Hmm.
pretty bummed out, depressed about it, and you know, I knew the world was kind of a shitty place, but now I really know for sure.
Yeah.
Just people,
Right.
people are just hateful to be hateful, man.
Yeah.
And you know, I
Especially
some,
online.
yeah. Oh man,
Like no one will
and
come up to your face and say shit, or maybe
no,
very
no,
select
never,
few.
never, never. It does.
Yeah.
That's never happened, and it probably never will. But um, people are just hateful to be hateful. And I saw one, like I'm seeing comments like, "I'm 5 seconds into this video, and he did it." Just look at just.
I know.
I was just like, what?
Yeah.
And somebody said, he's so charming that I don't believe him. Well, I'm being crucified for being charming. One guy said, "Oh, he did it. Look at his face. Look at his head." What? What? You know, but and you see that over and over and over again. I didn't look for very long, and the Facebook video had 1 million views the last time I looked. I have no idea what it has now. The one
Jesus.
on YouTube it's like 230K. Facebook is over 1 million. I can't even go to the one on Facebook anymore. Like I can't even go to see the positive. I like to at least see the positive ones. And if
Mm-hmm.
people are asking how to help me, how to talk to me, I like to respond to those guys. But
Right. Right.
I just can't go. I can't go back there
Um,
and look at it. I can't even
maybe
talk
I
to the
shouldn't do
people.
this interview. You're tainted. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's just I'll save it for the interview, but
Yeah. Okay.
it's it's
Oh, we're
tough.
live.
Oh, we're live. Okay, all right.
No, I'm
Well,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
well, I really appreciate you doing this, man. You
Yeah,
know,
my pleasure.
just the fact that you asked, and it's pretty cool. And uh,
Well, as a kid, I remember watching movies and stuff of like people in jail, and my one of my biggest fears was like going to jail like for falsely, and it's like I don't know why I was like fascinated by prison and how scary it looked, and I'm like,
yeah,
so yeah, I'm fascinated by. I've tried reaching out to other people that have actually spent some of them decades in prison and were like later found out innocent.
hmm
So yeah, I thank
more
you
and more of
for
them are more and more of them are coming out. So it's kind of this. There's never a good time for this to happen, but I'm
right.
seeing more and more that these cases are becoming more prevalent, and they're also becoming more high profile. People are talking about this a lot more now.
Yeah,
There are
celebrities even.
Yeah, there are more and more exonerees coming to light every day, and it's happening everywhere. Where I live in Illinois has the highest number of wrongful convictions in the country by a landslide. There are almost
Why?
six. It's just the way that
Weird.
they want are convictions here. My
Mm.
county that I live in has a 98% conviction rate. It's a real number. Think about that. 98%. So if you're in
Every
there for
crime has been solved. Every
yes,
crime.
yes, every Friday they just want a conviction. They're like, you're in here for. I'm just gonna make something up real quick. This is probably a stupid example, but you're in here for speeding. Nah, how about we knock it down to a jaywalking and call it a day? They just want a conviction. That's a
Mm.
just a simple off the top of the head example, but that's how they do it here. So I'm literally a 2%er on the most heinous crime you could ever be charged with. I mean, my charges were worse than murder.
Yeah, I
I would have
can.
spent longer time in prison than a murderer would. They'll give a murderer 20 years. He's out in 15 maybe. With me, if they gave me 148 years, I have 148 years. I'm not getting out. Because
Yeah.
most charges here in Illinois are like if you get, say I'm busted with drugs, right? I got some drugs. I get pulled over. I get busted. They give me 10 years.
Hmm.
Immediately, I already know I'm going to do 5. And then I'm going to get good time for that. It's always day for day. I don't know why they don't just say it's 5 years, but they give you 10, but it's day for day. So every day you serve, you get a day. So you already know you're only doing 5, and then you're going to enroll into programs. There's a couple of guys who I became friends with in the 2 months I was in jail. I still talk to. And I speak about one of them in my soft white underbelly interview, and I'm going to be interviewing him too because people are talking a lot of shit about me about what I said about jail. And he's going to be like, no, we were there and it happened. And that's what we told him, So, and he was in there for drugs. He got 8 years. He had already served his time and was out before my trial even took place. 8 years.
He was convicted at 8 years.
He was
You were only there for 2 months.
I was there for 2 months. I get out. I was in jail. This summer will be 3 years ago. So he got his 8 years. He did about 18 months in prison. And then he had already spent close to a year in the county. So he got credit for that. They took, it was day for day. So immediately he went to 4. He worked while he was in jail. So he got more time for that. He got a COVID vaccine when he got to jail. They take a year off your sentence for getting a COVID shot. And so by the time all that was done, an 8-year sentence, he did like a year and a half, and he's been out working in Florida, calls me all the time. He had a job and out working for over a year before my trial even took place, and we were in jail together.
Wow.
That's how crazy the system is, man.
Wow.
There's a couple of guys like that, and there's another guy. I don't know him as well, but same thing happened with him. He got 7, 8 years. He's already out and working again and getting his life back together before my stuff was even over.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well,
that's our system here in America for you, buddy.
Right. Well, we'll back up a little bit. Cause I'm sure lots of people don't know your story, but before we do that, can you maybe just quickly describe what your home life was as a kid, kind of leading up to
Sure.
The incident, I guess. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
Incident? Is that what you call it? The accusations.
Incident. Yeah. So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally. Grew up there until I was probably about 10, 11 years old, and we started to move around quite a bit, wound up in Illinois. All my family still lives there. I've kind of been up here on my own since I was 18. I got a really big family. They're all pretty supportive, all different walks of life. We're pretty middle class. We weren't rich, we weren't poor, kind of middle of the road. Usual typical challenges. There's some rough times growing up. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and so the party culture was pretty prevalent back then, and my family was into that, and so we saw some challenges from that, drug use, alcohol use, and stuff. But overcame that stuff later down the road. And I'm talking about like my parents and brothers and stuff, and everybody has since cleaned up and all that sort of thing. But we faced some struggle with that. We had to move around a little bit because of it, and as soon as I turned 18, I was on my own 100% from that day. My parents moved back to Missouri, and I stayed here in Illinois, and I've been here ever since. So I've just kind of been, on my own, trying to do my own thing for a while, struggled and everything all myself, and tried not to ask really anything of anybody, and just tried to make my own way. And I guess maybe I'm glad for doing that, because I really needed everybody in a big way when I was 40 years old. So I guess I cashed all my chips in at once. I don't know whether to be thankful for that or not. That's kind of a crazy thing to think about. But, I've worked really hard. I didn't go to school, things like that. I'm a musician. And so that was the dream I've been pursuing for a while. Not like rock star hopes or anything, but just a successful career making music somehow. Of course, I've played in bands and, traveled and toured and did all that kind of stuff. But, just doing something musically and making a living of it, except for teaching. Everybody always wants guitar lessons, and it's cool, and I'll teach you, but you give somebody a guitar lesson, it's like, all right, work on this next week, come back, and then they don't work on it. It's like, you gotta do it, man. Like you can't progress if you don't do that. And so I'm like, don't waste your money on me if you're not gonna if you're not going to put into work. Because I'll be able to tell, like a beginner on the guitar, I teach you one little lick and you come back and there's no progress. It's like, don't waste your money on me just because I'm, pretty skilled and schooled and music and all that kind of stuff doesn't mean that, you're gonna be that way too. You got to put the work in. And that's what I did. Like I found out at an early age. I was 6 years old when I started playing music. Our neighbors gave us a drum set and a guitar and an amplifier, and I never put them down since. I spent this is what my dad always says. It's kind of not accurate. It was six. I started at six, but he goes, when he talks about me, he's like, yeah, Matt got a guitar when he was 8 years old, and he didn't come out of his room till he was 18. It's kind of true. Yeah, of course I did, but I was more interested in learning how to play Guns N' Roses and Metallica songs than I was, outside riding my bike playing baseball kind of stuff. And so I practiced that really, really hard until about my early 20s, and then adult life, and party and girlfriends and work and other stuff. But I'm glad I put all that time in early because it really helped a lot later in life. And I still play all the time, but after doing it for 35 plus years, I can kind of be like, I don't really have to play the guitar or the drums or the keys or the bass or anything all day anymore. I've kind of earned, you get to a level where, my heroes, they still play for hours and hours a day. Like, Zach Wilde is Black Label Society. He played guitar for Ozzy Osbourne. He's one of my heroes. That guy never stops playing guitar. And he's, older guy, been doing it for years and years. He plays all day, every day to this day still. And that's why he's that good. So I should probably get back to doing that. Thanks, Todd. Thanks for you're already helping me, man.
Man, we have a very similar background. I'm 47. I grew up in the 80s and 90s too, and same thing was music. I moved away from my little small town and toured with bands and stuff. And
oh, nice, man! I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, and then also in my 20s was like the one band breaks up that was like the one that I'd say was the most dedicated band that I played in. Find a girl, start to settle down. Music
Kids,
becomes more
like
of a
that,
hobby than it does a career anymore. But so I'm assuming, or maybe, well, at some point you do find a lady that you do marry.
Yeah.
Is this in your 20s?
I've had a few, so I was I've only been married once to the person that is maybe in my opinion responsible for a lot of what happened, but not ideal. But I have 3 children, 3 different moms, so everybody likes to get on me
3
about
different
that.
cities.
Just the way I planned it, right? No, it's not. They're all. It's not 3 different cities. Well, one of them is away now, but my other 2 are here. But I was about 26 when I had my first child, my son, and then things didn't really slow down. But then your priorities change a little. It's like, okay, I have this dream of playing music and being successful and making a career out of that, but I got kids and family and stuff like that now, so those things kind of take a back seat, obviously. And it's hard to navigate that, because I was a pretty busy musician regionally for a while, and I traveled on almost every weekend. Well, that's when you see your kids the most. So it's like, hey, Daddy's got to drive back and forth to Milwaukee to play real quick. It's 4-hour drive. I'll be back. I'll be, I would do that. I can't tell you how many times I would drive 4 hours, play a gig, play a 30-minute, 1-hour set, tear down, drive the 4 hours back home, sleep for a couple hours, get up, go to work, come back home. Then you pick up another gig. This one might be 3 hours away. Okay. All right. Make the drive 3 hours, play for 30 minutes. Don't get paid anything, have fun, meet some cool people, try to make some contacts, try to get on some more shows, and then drive the 3 hours back home, enough time to change your clothes and go back to work again, or take the kids to school or stuff like that. And, it's hard to balance that, and it's hard to justify that too, because you got a lady at home being like, hey, you're playing Rockstar on the weekends. Let's, we need to
Hmm.
maybe reprioritize things. And so I did that. I haven't actually played in bands and toured for about the last 6 years. I just kind of do this kind of stuff now. On my own
Right.
band, I play, I play the drums, I play the bass, I play the keys, I play the guitar, and so now it's just like, I don't have to worry about the drummer being late to practice, or late to rehearsal every time now because I'm the drummer. I could depend on myself. I could, and I don't like to sing that much. A lot of people like it, I guess, but if there's one thing that I could just never do again, it would be that. So I would really like some good vocal, but the singer, the old thing. You ever see the meme about the singer where it's like breaking news? Singer helps unload gear from the van, and it's just like it's a shocking moment, prima donna singers, man.
That's
But
right.
it's actually nice. It's good for me that I can just record at home and do that kind of stuff, and you don't have to worry about anybody else. And I might get back out there and do more group stuff someday, but I'm finding success and fulfillment and kind of doing my own thing right now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's hard to schedule four guys, and yeah,
I,
it
I,
really is a pain in the ass trying to collaborate with
I
a
always
pile
use
of other
this
people.
analogy, man. Todd, it's like being in a band is like having five other wives that you aren't romantically involved with at all. It's like having five other wives without the sex. You've got five
Right.
other guys and their drama and their bullshit and their excuses and their alcoholism and their unprofessionalism and everything that comes with it. And
Yep,
but it's hard.
it's true.
It's hard. It's bands that are super successful and things like that. They are guys that over time you'll hear stories of they're all on separate buses or whatever. But at one point in time, they all got along. They all had the same goal. They all were in everything together, and they wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for that. They grow apart later. It's really
Hmm.
hard to find a symbiotic group of people like that are all about the same thing, that want play the same style. You all gel together. Those great bands are great like that because of all those things mixed in together. So it's hard to find.
Hmm. Hmm. When it does happen, it's like the closest to God you ever are.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just
just
like,
like,
fuck it, holy shit.
oh.
Yeah.
That'd be great to find
Um,
something like that, but it's hard to do.
yeah. Well, I guess we should talk about why I called.
Yeah, I
I know
guess
I could
so.
talk music and bands for hours,
Oh,
Steve.
me too. Yeah, yeah, don't get me started on that.
I already did, unfortunately. No.
Yep. Oh well.
So, I, so you did fight. Eventually, you did marry one of the baby mamas,
Hmm.
and
Unfortunately, yes.
how was the marriage before
Um,
the
well,
accusations?
you can trace my stupidity back to when the relationship started. Um,
Okay.
we got together out of necessity. We were
Mm,
both recently out of relationships. She needed somebody to move in and help her pay the bills, and I needed a new place to stay. And so we met.
romantic.
Yeah, we moved into with each other very, very quickly. I want to say within a matter of a month or two. Because at first, that honeymoon phase, everything's cool. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And things were good for a little while for the first couple of months. I'd probably say, I don't know, maybe even the first 3 to 6 months, things were okay and, cool and whatever. And then the real her started to show a lot more.
Hmm.
And, she suffers with mental illness as well. And that was my first real taste of being around somebody with that. And so it was very difficult. We walked around on eggshells a lot. Uh, Her own kids and I would try to avoid her, because some days she would just wake up and start screaming at you. You didn't
So,
know why. You'd wake up to her yelling at you about something. You
How,
didn't know
how many
what you
kid?
did.
How many kids did she have at that time living?
She
Or
had two others, and then we had one together about a year into our relationship or so.
okay.
Our daughter that was a part of
Hmm.
my whole deal. We were together for like 3 years maybe, somewhere around in there. And we were married and divorced almost 365 days to the day. We were married in
Hmm.
May of 2013 and divorced in May of 2014. I think it was just shy of exactly a year by just a matter of maybe 5 or 10 days or so.
Hmm.
Um, Things got volatile. Um she was very confrontational and things like that, and she'd hit me, and I remember one time she was slapping me in the face so many times that she was poking me in the eyes when she was doing it, and one of my eyes swelled up, and that wasn't very fun, and uh, just I mean I could go on and on. I don't want to, but she said a lot of
Hmm.
stuff about me. I don't really care to say to throw the same stones that she has, but what I'm saying
Hmm.
really did happen. That's the difference between our stories,
Right.
but um, and like things like this. This is something I like to say about my relationship with her. She had a teenage daughter when I got with her. I want to say she was like 14, something like that, when I first got with her, and she lived about an hour away in another town. And
Hmm.
this one weekend, she's like, "Hey, I got to pick up my daughter who lives an hour away, but I have a headache and don't want to go. Will you do it for me?" And I was like, "You want me to go pick up your daughter from her dad's house? I'd never met the guy. I don't know this guy yet and stuff." I'm like, "Okay, is that going to be cool? Oh, it'll be fine, whatever." I was like, "Okay, I'll do it for you this time." I went and picked her up, and then every single weekend after that, she wanted me to go do it. She didn't even want to
Hmm.
go pick up her own kid, and she always had an excuse. "Oh, I'm tired," or whatever. And it kind of bonded me and the daughter. She was getting into music, and she liked bands like Nirvana and Metallica, and I'd be like, "Oh, I bet you never heard this Nirvana live show before. Check this out." So it was cool. So we got to spend time in doing that, and that's just the kind of person she was. Like I even and here's some things that people don't know from the story. She says I'm this abuser and this whatever or whatnot. Well, she was in abusive relationships after me. And where did she come when things hit the fan at home for her? Me, my
Hmm.
house. One time on Christmas, she had an abusive boyfriend who was all drunk and tore the place apart, and the police were involved and all kinds of stuff. And she had to pack up Christmas dinner and all her kids and come to my house on Christmas. And we did not get along. We were not on good terms. I always tried to get along with her. I would beg her. I'd be like, why does everything have to be so negative all the time? Why can't we just get along? I don't, she just had to make everything a fight, a confrontation. And I said, yeah, my kid's in a crazy situation where there's cops involved in an abusive thing. Of course, I'm going to say, yeah, it wasn't really to help her, but she would come to me for all kinds of stuff all the time. And if I was this monster or whatever she's saying I was, why did she come to me at every turn? Why, when she's in an abusive relationship, I'm the one that she came to?
Hmm.
Those are things people don't know. And it happened multiple times. And I helped her out a lot, even though I really didn't like her a lot, honestly, at all, over time. She was very, very mean, very narcissistic, very selfish. She was only nice to you if she wanted something. Everything was always a confrontation, negativity galore. And I'm the opposite of that, man. Like I can't deal with it. It's not,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
brings me down. I just like feel anxious, and it
Hmm.
brings
It's
me
like
it brings me an energy that I just don't vibe with at all. And
right.
uh,
That's why they call it like tox. It's toxic, that kind of
oh,
relationship, and yeah.
my ex-wife, uh, you look up toxic in the dictionary, and she's sitting there like this.
Oh
So,
boy.
but that's how it was with her. And then, uh, and here's other things. If I was such a bad guy or whatever, why would her kids still like me after the divorce and reach out to me? She had a
Hmm.
son who was like 5 years old when I got with her, and so when my kid's like 5 years old, he's like 10. And when she'd bring my daughter over, for my weekend visits, whatever, he wanted to come too. Can I come too?
Mm.
and I felt so bad for the little guy that I let him sometimes. Not my kid, uh, that's her, whatever, but I feel so bad for him because he wanted to come so bad. Why did he want to come so bad? Maybe
Hmm.
it's because I was good to him. I mean,
Yeah.
just maybe I treated that kid like my own and was good to him. And his father wasn't really in his life. And so,
Mm.
and there'd be times where I have to work. Will you watch the kids? And blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, I mean, I'll watch mine, but I would take him too. And
Mm.
it's things that people don't know, you know?
Hmm.
And
Uh,
it's just,
right. So then when the accusations did come out, yeah, I can imagine it was just that much more confusing and hurtful and God, I
yeah,
can't imagine.
see, you can't even wrap your head around it, Todd. You can't.
No.
And I've had to do this for the last 3 years. And I've had a lot of time to internalize this, and I've had nothing but time to sit and think about all these
Mm.
things and why and what I could have done or what really happened or this or that. And there are probably the questions that you'll never have the answers to, probably ever.
Hmm. Right.
And there's good days and there's bad days. And you see negative comments online that kind of sends you in a tailspin. You see the positive ones, it makes you want to keep going. And then, you talk to your friends and your loved ones, and even though they try to understand, and they give you these words of encouragement, but it's an unrelatable place to be when there's really nothing you can do about it. So to sit and deal with day to day the fact that I was put through this, almost sent to prison for life for a crime that I didn't commit, that I'm not capable of committing, that I would never, I mean, never, ever in the world ever do. And there's nothing I can do about it. The police didn't conduct any sort of thorough investigation. It's because they're not required to.
Mm.
Uh, Probable cause is a loosely based thing that saves the police virtually from doing anything. It allows them to not have to really do much. It allows them to be lazy. They're not required to do a thorough investigation. Somebody said, Todd, somebody says you did something, that's all they need. They don't need any
Right.
other evidence. They could put you on trial just like me, and it happens all the time. And since my stories come out, there's been just a huge flood of stories. People are saying, this happened to me, this happened to my dad, this happened to my brother, this happened to my friend. And just to see the hundreds, thousands now of people reaching out and saying this happens everywhere and it's more prevalent than people think, it's helpless, man. Um, I thought I had a case against the police, to be like, and everybody keeps saying, you should sue, this is wrong. That's the most popular comment. Something should happen to this. I met with some really reputable, competent civil rights attorneys. They were very, very nice and thorough, and they went through everything with a fine tooth comb. And there's nothing you can do unless you can prove of some type of police corruption or coercion. Like if they would have coerced my daughter into saying I did it, I have a case
Hmm.
for malicious prosecution. But
Well, before we get into all that, we haven't even told people what you've been accused of yet.
okay, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
And yeah, I I know you're just
it,
chomping at the bit.
it's
To, yeah.
crazy, and I don't mean to keep going on and on, but there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to this, Todd, and I'm not trying
Absolutely.
to talk too much here, but I mean, man,
No, no, it's
it's
fine.
deep, it's heavy. So 3 years ago in 2022, I was falsely accused of sexual assault against my own daughter,
How old was
and
she at the time?
she was. She was 9 at the time, but she was turning 10 about a month later when it all officially
Oh, okay,
started. So
okay,
we'll just say 10 years old when it's
okay.
technically 9, but basically 10 when it started. She's 13 now, and so backtrack a little bit. In 2020, um, my ex-wife met a guy on Tinder in Minnesota, which is where she moved. She moved 850 miles away a couple
Hmm.
states away, far from here, meets a guy within a few months, wants to uproot her life here in Illinois and move there with this guy, stranger. And she comes to me with it, and I'm like, um, I don't, that just might be me, but I don't know if that's such a good idea after just a couple of months. And she got upset, took me to court. We had two court hearings. The first one, they ruled in my favor. The judge was like,
For
I don't think it's in the. She
just for
wanted to
custody?
relocate. Yeah,
Oh, I
it was
see. Oh, okay,
it
I
was a
see.
relocation. So a parent just can't get
Gotcha.
up and move out of state with a child unless they have the permission, or you go through a court hearing and a judge decides. Well, we did it
Gotcha.
once. The first time the judge ruled in my favor, and then they just gave her a new trial again a few months later. The same thing, no new developments. They just let her have a redo, and there was the
Hmm.
same judge and it was the same everything. And this time the judge ruled in her favor, so they allowed her to go. This is where it starts because she was uprooted and moved. They moved in the middle of the night. Didn't get a chance to say goodbye. She didn't get a chance to say goodbye to her siblings, her friends, nothing. They moved 4 months earlier than they were supposed to, and the police did nothing about that. Was your daughter in danger? I don't know. She could be. Well, they weren't supposed to move till June, and it's February, and they were just like, it's COVID. Yeah, nothing we can do. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's where I think things took a turn for the worse because she was taken away from me and then changes started to happen. We weren't, she was supposed to come see me for one weekend a month. That didn't happen. I saw her probably 3 or 4 times over the course of a few years. And it was tough. And I started to see changes in my daughter. She was looking disheveled and her hair was always in knots. She would call me all the time. We FaceTimed and talked a lot. Relationship was still good, but she was left completely alone to her own devices for that couple of years. Her mom didn't really pay that
Hmm.
much attention to her. She'd call me in the afternoon sometimes, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She'd be walking around her house. Hey, I'm bored. How you doing? I could see her walking around her house. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Where's everybody at? She goes, oh, nobody's awake yet. I've been awake since 8 o'clock this morning. I haven't seen anybody in my house. And it'd be like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That
Hmm.
just she didn't she wasn't monitored or what she was doing on social media. She wasn't getting any attention or whatever. She would call me and we'd stay on the phone for hours. And she just like she wouldn't even be talking to me anymore. She'd be sitting there playing video games. And I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. She'd be like, no. So I just have to sit there and watch her. She just wanted somebody there. And
Hmm.
a few years go by, and then all of a sudden, on my 40th birthday, I went to pick up my son, and Children and Family Services were there. They just happened to be, it wasn't a planned thing. They just happened to show up to my son's house to tell them of the allegations that had just come out against me. I just happened to be on a day that I was going to pick up my kid. It was just by chance. So that was awful. That was really, really, really bad. And then I wasn't arrested until 4 months later. I don't know why. There was no new developments in the case, anything like that. We all thought the charges would drop, obviously, because didn't do it. There's no evidence. There's no any. It's not a possibility. And so me and my friends and my family were all like, just be patient and it'll go away. Children and Family Services never even completed their end of the deal. The caseworker quit in the middle of it. I actually have a hearing with
Hmm.
them on Monday to get that expunged because they indicated me for abuse 2 years before my trial even concluded. And they
Hmm.
didn't even really do anything. They just, it's called it being indicated or founded by Children and Family Services. That's what they call it. And without anything being completed or done, and without them even really doing anything, they found out I was arrested, and that's why they did that. That's
Hmm.
wrong. That's not thorough. That's whatever. And hopefully on Monday, they are removing that from my record. It's a small victory. I don't know if it has that much of an impact, but
Right.
somebody's Children and Family Services has your name on a list of people who have been you know
Sexually
confirmed.
abusive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for abuse, and you didn't do it. That's pretty important to eradicate that. And
Yeah.
so 4 months later, I just, we're thinking the charges are going to go away and drop and hopeful. I get home one day and I get out of my car to walk in my apartment and police literally jumped out of the bushes and arrested me, took me to jail. And I got there and they told me my bond was $1 million. So it was going to be $100,000 to get out. I thought I was going to be there forever. And then 65 days later, by the grace of God and uh, my angel of a roommate that keeps hitting buttons on the microwave while I'm doing an interview in here, driving me crazy. Her and some other people, a good friend of hers and another friend of mine and family all rallied together and got me out of there. And thankfully they did, because it's much, much easier to fight a case of any kind from the outside than it is the inside. Who knows what
Yeah.
happened if I would have been in jail for almost 3 years for something I didn't do.
Yep.
What would I have made it in there? Would I have gone crazy? Would I have said just fuck it, just let's plead, let's just get this over with? Would I have? I mean, when I say would I have made it, it's not that I would be afraid of anybody doing something to me. It'd be me being afraid of doing something to myself.
Right.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean by that.
Hmm.
Even the 2 months I was there, was awful. You know, just imagine being in jail for something you didn't do, like you told me earlier, is just like a phobia, a fear of yours as a kid. You watch TV, you see a movie like Shawshank Redemption or something like that. You're like, wow, man, that would be crazy. Well, I lived it. It happened.
And of like one of the most despicable crimes on earth
In
yet.
my opinion, it is the most despicable crime on earth. And
Yeah.
people, you know what? Guys who really did do it should face that harsh of punishment that they tried to give me. I'm all for that. If somebody sexually assaults someone, they deserve that. They deserve to have the book thrown at them. Of course, it's
Hmm.
awful. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And no matter what, that you fast forward, I had to wait 2 years for my trial. I get out. We had to come up with another large, substantial amount of money that we didn't have for attorneys and fees. And there's a lot of different. One thing people don't know is that they made me take a offender evaluation. You know how demoralizing that was, and it
Hmm.
cost me what did it cost? Like $1,000. I had to pay $1,000, and I had to go and talk to this shrink, and he just asked me. It was 2 sessions. Asked me a bunch of questions, and then he decides whether I'm a sex offender or not, or he decides
Hmm.
whether I'm at risk to reoffend, and all that kind of stuff. And just having to go through that, and it costs $1,000. Like just these things. There's a lot of hidden underlying things that they put you through, and just it's
Fuck.
just the more money that they want from you. That was an awful experience, and to just having
How,
to do something like that.
so how was that 2 years? Like just sitting and waiting and like I'm assuming people as soon as they heard the accusations were just he's guilty. Like so then you're
Yeah,
sitting.
that's what most people automatically assume. And until you know what, and I'm going to tell everybody out there, I might have been the same as you before this happened to me. When you see something like that, you open the paper or you're scrolling, through the news feed on your phone. Man arrested and charged with 6 felony counts of predatory criminal sexual assault. You're like, oh, what a piece of shit. Oh God, oh, that's horrible. I hope he, goes away for life or whatever. That's the first thing you think of. Not everybody is going to go, wait a minute. Let's look at this here. This is not one of those
Hmm.
things people do. It's just one of those situations where everyone's going to automatically assume the worst. Now, everybody that knew me in my life, in the community and things like that, they knew better, but the world
Hmm.
doesn't, and
Right.
I know that now more than ever for all the blind, hateful comments that I see on my soft white underbelly interview comments. And I would, admittedly, I might be the same. Um, I received some hate locally, not a lot. Like I have a few people that are just obsessed with messing with me. I don't know why. I know who they are, and they know who they are. And it wasn't too bad here, but like I talk, here's a story. I talked this about this in my interview. One of my best friends I've had in my life, and he still is to this day. Let me preface that. And when he heard my interview, it really impacted him. He was a guy that I met, young. He's a nerdy guy, didn't have a whole lot of friends, but I met him. I was like, dude, this dude's pretty cool, man. Like, we both liked the same bands. We're both huge wrestling fans. I know wrestling's big in Canada. We've talked about that sometime too. Huge, professional wrestling guy, and so was he. So I was like, man, this dude's cool, man. I'll be friends with this guy. He got picked on a lot and stuff. Well, when I became his friend, nobody picked on him no more. He had a whole other group of friends now, and I was friends and roommates with this guy. I was the best man at his wedding years later. This is a guy that, we were tight. And the first thing I saw, I was afraid to open my social media when I got out of jail. And the first thing I see is him doing a post, sharing my charges, saying how he hopes I rot in hell for what I did. And so I tried to reach him, and I finally did. I'm like, hey man, just saw what you did, and do you want to maybe hear my side of it first? And just after talking to him for a little bit, he quickly he was like, man, I was listening to everyone else. People that don't like you had me convinced of something. I don't know the details. Now that I've heard from you, I know you're not that, and I'm sorry. But that's just an example. And he even publicly did a comment. I didn't know he was going to do. He's like, I'm the nerdy guy in the video, and yes, I fucked up, and this and this, and that was really awesome for him to do that too. But that just goes to show the quick response that people have. And you know what, Todd? The world is a negative place now, and negativity is what sells, and that's just all there is to it, man. A negative story is going to go farther than a positive one. Me being charged with this stuff was more popular than me being acquitted. So that's just the way. That's just the way of the world now. And
well, and again, it's something that so with the Me Too movement and it's very this was a very topical kind of thing at the time.
And it still is.
And because it was a child, I couldn't imagine.
There's no good that comes from it whatsoever, and
no,
you're damned if
I'd
you
rather
do.
be accused of shooting a nun in the face than being accused of.
I would too. I would too, and that's sad. And that's sad that it comes to that. And so the 2 years of sitting and waiting, whatever, man, I cannot tell you how rough that was. And, quite frankly, Todd, how rough it still is. I thought there was going to be I thought being acquitted, magically life goes on. Hey, I'm free. I've cleared my name. I can go out and be a productive member of my community again. I can get I can start working again. I can freely go, and a weight has been lifted. I now realize that weight is never going to be lifted. It's going to be a stigma that's stuck with me and guys like me that this has happened to forever. There's going to be people that think that about me no matter what. There's going to be people that see my story and see my interviews and see everything that I do. That there's going to be people that watch this. They're going to pick me apart and say, "Oh, he's so charming that I don't believe him. Just look at him. He looks like a child molester. He looks like this." And that is unfortunately what our society has become nowadays. Everybody assumes the worst, and it's just the helplessness, Todd. This is what I keep going to. It's a helpless thing. They can do this to us. They can put you through the ringer, and then they can just go, okay. There's nothing you can do back. I can't do anything. Everybody keeps saying, sue them. I can't sue anyone. I could sue my ex-wife. I can do that. But why? I could sue her for $1 and never see it. That's not going to change anything. I'll put her through a legal process. It might cost her a little money. It might cost her some grief. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to do anything for me. It's not going to make me feel better. It's not going to change anything. Suing the police, it wasn't about money or whatever for me, even though I deserve to be recouped for all I've lost and lost wages and my family and everything. I mean, we're talking about $1 million here, Todd, when it's all said and done. $1 million. It's
Okay.
in the 900,000 range, but a million sounds cooler
Yeah.
than 900,000. You round up. It might as well be,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't about that. It was about change. It was about letting the community and people know that this happens. This happens all over the place, and this happens here, and it happened to me. It's a way to fight back, or they're just like, a detective on a case like this. You would think maybe he would want to look into me, maybe to see if I'd done this elsewhere, maybe to see if I had child pornography or anything. They didn't. They did nothing, Todd. They didn't search my phone, my house. My daughter said that there was five, six, seven something witnesses that she names in her accusations. They didn't talk to any of them. They didn't interview a single one of them. They didn't interview anyone. They didn't interview my other kids, their moms, nobody. They did nothing. They watched her little forensic interview with the child advocacy person. If something happens to a kid or abuse, whatever, they take them to a child center and they interview them and with a professional. The one in our
Mm-hmm.
case wasn't very professional, but um,
Hmm.
that's all that they used against me was her saying the stuff in the interview. And then when she took the stand, she told a different story and said that I didn't do most of the stuff that I was even accused of. We were mind blown. Like me and my lawyer looked at each other, turned around, and looked at my family, and everybody was just like, she just said he didn't do it. After all these years, all this time and money and pain and torture and it's not just me feeling this, man. A lot this affected a lot of people deeply. My mother cried every time I talked to her on the phone, which was awesome. Often wasn't awesome. It was often. No, it was not awesome. What's not awesome?
Yeah.
Your mom being in tears for a couple of years every time she talks to you on the phone, which was a couple times a week, once a week, or it was often. That's
Hmm.
hard, man. And so your mom and your family are terrified of your situation, and they're helpless, and there's nothing they can do. They did everything they could, man. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if it wasn't for a lot of great people. But
Hmm.
it just goes on, and just like I said in my interview, that scarlet A, that scarlet letter, I'm gonna wear it for life. I'm gonna do my best to navigate that, but how do you do it, man? You tell me, Todd. You tell me, man.
Man, I no, this is like I said, one of my biggest fears is being accused of
Yeah,
something, going to jail for something, and I mean, like I said, it's the worst possible crime on earth.
it is. I
And of
agree.
course, I mean, of course, there's going to be massive advocates that are trying to support children, and so
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
that's
get it.
great.
I get why people. Oh man, oh god,
So
what a
how you're
nightmare.
feeling, right now, just that mind-boggling, just can't wrap your head around it. That's me every single day of my life now, and I have to
Yeah.
deal with that. Some days are better than others. Sometimes you just kind of need to talk to somebody. I suffer from anxiety and depression and
Did you
PTSD.
before this?
Yes, yeah, very,
Oh, okay,
very, very heavily before this. So you
okay.
put that on top of this, man. And now I'm for the first time kind of being like, maybe some medication would be good. Maybe a therapist would be good. Whereas before, it's like, I don't want to do that. I'm better than that. I can overcome this on my own, but I can't. And
Hmm.
you can have all the support you want in the world, but at the end of the day, you need help. And it's been hard for me to accept help from people. Everybody that really, really knows me closely knows that about me, and it drives them crazy, because I could be, I'm gonna die in an hour if I don't get one bite of food, and I won't take it because of whatever reason. I'll feel bad about it or whatever. And that's just
Mm,
how I am. I try to do for myself. Well, I can't do for myself anymore. I need the help. I need somebody to be there for me. I need help navigating this. I'm traumatized for life from this, Todd.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Right.
I'm not making excuses. I'm not trying to get sympathy here. I am just telling it like it is, man. I know that's what people are going to say about me when they see this shit, and that's what they said about me in my interview with SWU. I am just telling you, telling everybody, this is how it is for me. This is how I feel. This is how it's impacted me. I barely leave the house. It's hard. I have good, I used to be a really happy-go-lucky, fun guy, entertaining guy. I still am that, but I'm just like such a bastardized version of that now, to where it's hard to function some days. Some days I just can't get up and go. I have a lot of opportunity
Mm,
and exciting things going. I know that if I work hard at it, it's gonna get better and better and grow. Some days I just don't have it in me. I sit in silence a lot. Um, the TV
no
doesn't,
microwave beeping.
except for the microwave beeping. Uh, no, no, that's Vicky, my roommate, godsend. She's working from home today. Normally she doesn't, so she can beat the microwave anytime she wants. It's just funny to do that, but uh, having her has helped a lot. She's really and everybody assumes that we're like in some kind of relate, and we're not. We're just friends, man. And that I think that speaks volumes too. A woman is there like that for me. Has been here with me the whole way through. Just a friend. The overwhelming, outpouring of support has been primarily women. I started a
Hmm.
GoFundMe, which was something that was hard for me to do, but when hundreds of people are saying we want to help you and you should do this, I finally did it, and it's been almost, with the exception of a few, almost all women that are sending me nice messages and helping me. I have
Hmm.
women, survivors of sexual assault reaching out to me saying, I feel sorry for you and I believe you. And God, man, it's just, it's touching, it's uplifting, it's amazing. 1 minute somebody's saying that to you, the next minute they're saying, look at this piece of shit. It's
Mm-hmm.
here's my mind-blowing moment for you. Like, one
Yeah.
minute it's so super positive and loving, and the next minute is so just brutally hateful. And it's just vice versa. It just keeps going around and round and round. And how do you navigate that? You just try to live your life. I guess it would be one thing I could say. Will it get
And
better over
like,
time? I don't know. We need time. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I'm
I
talking
always
too
think
much,
of,
Todd.
no, you're not. No, no. I think of like, I used to be in AA, and it's like one day at a time. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah. And sometimes those, I know you want your life to just go back to normal. And like, you're right. It's changed forever. And yeah, any of those little comments that help you just get through that day,
Yeah.
that's
And the
awesome.
and the
And I
fact
mean,
that a lot of people just take the time, sorry, to take the time to send you a message, like I've got a lot of direct messages. Like I got one from you, on Instagram and Facebook and everything else. There are a lot of good people left in this world, but uh, unfortunately, I don't feel like there's a lot of them left because of how tainted everybody is now due to shit like this.
yeah, yeah. And like we were saying earlier, like how many people in real life actually come up to you and call you a piece of shit and say you should kill yourself and all this stuff?
They let's put it this way, they know better than that around
Right,
here.
right.
So
So online, it's people can hide
yeah.
behind their whatever, and it's just like fuck
And be
off.
honest, and sometimes, Todd, and this is going to make me sound whatever. I don't really care about this one, but sometimes I wish somebody would. Uh,
Come
sometimes I
up to
wish,
you in
yeah,
face.
yeah. Sometimes I wish somebody would, uh, because that would be a nice little frustration relief moment for me, probably. I'm not a
You would
violent.
be in jail.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but the thing. Oh, here's another thing, Todd. So in Illinois, they eliminated cash bond. So you do not bond out of jail anymore. A lot of offenses you don't even go to jail for. So they eliminated cash bond, and they did that while I was in jail. I was one of the last people to have a bond returned to them uh, around here. That I might
Huh.
have been the last one in my county. If there were a few more left, it's probably only a couple stragglers, just because of a bond was eliminated a few years ago while I was starting to go through this process, and we just got ours back in January of this year. I was probably one of the last people to receive a bond back in my
Hmm.
county, maybe even in my state. They don't do that anymore. So if some guy comes up to me on the street now and says something to me and we get into a fight, I'll go to jail. I'll be there for an hour. They let me out and take me home. They
Hmm.
only keep you there for serious offenses or if they feel you're a flight risk now. So they don't
Ah.
even keep people in jail anymore unless it's those two reasons. You don't. There is no bond anymore. It's not like, okay, I got busted for drinking and driving. Here's 150 bucks. I'm out of here, and then I'll be back to court. Whatever. You get busted for that now. They're just like, all right, you're booked. Blah blah blah. See ya. They don't hold you no more. They let you go.
Hmm. Damn.
Yeah.
Um. I was going to make the point earlier, like as hard as this is for you, I mean, you could easily just isolate, stay offline, keep a low profile, but instead you're doing interviews like this, and you are like making yourself 100% vulnerable for more negative
Yeah.
comments and more negative stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's someone guilty would never do that. And I mean, in my mind, I
I
yeah,
agree. If you ask all the internet experts, they would disagree with you. But
right, right,
and I struggled with uh, at first with doing it because how I did
yeah,
the Software Underbelly interview was that a production company had reached out to me months before and wanted to do a documentary about me. I didn't ask for it; they came to me with it. I'm like, wow, okay, well maybe this is a chance to kind of you know, pull back the curtain on what happens to people in this situation. I might be able to be a voice and help people. And then we shot it, we filmed it, everything was great. Then they pulled the plug on the project. They got cold feet and being associated and with
mm,
it, and that hurt a lot. It wasn't personal. I took it personally at first, and then after I kind of thought about it for a while, they were very nice about it. They had good intentions in heart. They just couldn't pull the trigger on it at the last minute because they thought it might be hurtful to their brand. They didn't want to be negatively looked at. Whoever, I get it, I understand, and everything is all good with that. But I'd already been telling people, hey, I'm filming a documentary about my life, and this is what I'm sharing behind the scenes photos, and like trying to promote it to so people can see it. And then I had to go and tell everybody that it was off. That hurt. That was
mm,
demoralizing, and
mm,
everybody's like, now everybody really is going to think I'm full of shit, and but then everybody
mm,
said, you should reach out to Soft White Underbelly. I didn't even know what it was. I never heard of it before. And then for a couple of weeks they did that, and then finally I went and looked at it, and I'm like, man, this dude's huge. Like he's not gonna respond to me. He responded to me almost immediately, and
mm,
it was less than 24 hours, I think. It was like maybe 12 hours or so because I did it late at night, and I got up the next morning, and there they were. And then we emailed a few times, and all of a sudden he was calling. So it happened very quick. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe I could be a voice to help others and, just there's nothing I could do about it legally. Maybe I can help somebody else with this, and I didn't
mm,
realize it would be as impactful as it was, both negatively and positively. But um,
Do
I,
you
I
regret it
kind of,
now?
I kind of have this thought about it now is, um, I threw myself on the sword for everybody else, and somebody had to do it. I'm sure I'm not the first, but my story kind of caught fire. So now I'm going to use it, and people are coming to me like, and they're asking me for advice, and they're sharing their story with me, and they're giving me strength, and they're taking strength from me and what I said. And so now, like, I owe it to them to be on this new path I'm on now. I don't owe anybody anything, but now it's like, okay, we've opened up a new chapter of life here, and I'm going to be talking to people. I'm going to be doing a show kind of like yours, just talking to people that have gone through this. I mean, there has been some crazy, crazy stories told to me over the last couple of weeks, and some that are even worse than mine. And
Sure. Yeah, I
it's
can imagine.
and people that have gotten strength from me. They've been inspired. They feel like somebody can speak out for them now, and so I'm not big time or huge or anything, and I'm not trying to say that I am. I'm not. My subscribers are climbing by the day now. My subscribers have doubled since the video, but still, if people think that, and if it's helping others, man, I'm doing it. And if it's at my own expense, and if I have to sacrifice myself for it, that's what I'm going to do. That's the kind of guy I've always been. I've always been more about others than myself, to my own detriment, big time, most of the time in life, as people like me will relate to that. You're
Do
taking
you think that's
advantage.
how
Yeah.
you got in this situation in the first place? Was
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
I got in this situation in the first place because I have an evil, vindictive ex-wife, and I'll just leave it
Hmm.
at that. That's how I got into this situation.
Right.
But
Okay.
doing doing this now gives me some purpose in life where I had none. I have not known what to
Right.
do, where to go, for so long, and basically my life has already been ruined. How worse can it get, Todd? Really? And you know what? I had this. I came to this realization just the other day.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's
No,
like
no, no, no.
I
No,
get I
no.
get
I
it.
laugh when I think about it now too, because it's so maddening, right? Going through this, I've realized that I've already lost everything. Now I have nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
Now I can do whatever I want. I could say whatever I want. I could speak out against this stuff. There's gonna be haters, man. They're gonna be there by the thousands. Okay, and it hurt me real bad. But now that I've had some perspective, it's like, okay, you're not gonna avoid that no matter what. But the
Exactly.
positive, the
Yeah.
positive side of it, the people that it helps, the people that have gone through it, the people that understand, that makes it worth it for me. And so being a voice for them, talking to them, sharing their stories, and sharing other stories. Police corruption has been a hot button for a long time now. I mean, we can go back to George Floyd and the Ferguson, Missouri riots, and all these. It's been going on for a long time, but even
I
now,
just
recently, there's so many stories of this coming out now all over the place. So it
yeah.
kind of seems like what I'm going through right now, it's starting to all come to light everywhere. And so it's a good
Yeah.
time to it's a good time to be doing it because it's happening everywhere and it's a hot button now. And so, screw it, man. Strike while the iron's hot. And if people are paying attention to this right now, then let's share with them what really goes on out there, and maybe it'll change the way people think about it. Maybe it'll encourage lawmakers to um, rethink laws and stuff behind people who make these false accusations. People are starting to pay the price for that. There's a lady in Pennsylvania who was just convicted for making false accusations against a guy who spent significant time in prison, and it was later released that he was innocent, and she was proven to have made the allegations up. She's going to spend a couple of years in jail for it now. That's a huge thing, and that's because it's very hard for that to take place due to things like probable cause, and there's laws that protect people who like you're more protective making an
Yeah.
accusation than you are being accused, especially in my state, Illinois. But that's the way it kind of is all across the U.S.
Hmm. And I get it. Like, I mean, I know in the past, especially, there's been a lot of victim blaming and all this stuff. And
Hmm.
oh, well, she was just a slut. She was looking for it. She was asking for it. All
And
this
yeah,
kind of
that's another
stuff.
side of it. Yeah,
And so, of course, people are very sympathetic to those victims. And so,
yeah.
for something so emotional and so polarizing to be on your end of it,
Hmm.
oh,
And the reason
fuck.
why those things happen all the time, Todd, is because they're so easy to do. It's so easy to
Right.
make an accusation against somebody. It's so easy to say, Todd did it. You know, Todd punched me in the face. Todd did this. Todd did that. And you tell the law, and then the law's like, okay, that's good enough for us. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially I don't want this to sound bad, but especially coming from a woman. A woman accusing a man of abuse and things like that. That's looked at more like, okay, like he must have obviously. They lean more on the side of that. Maybe they should, in most cases, but that is a common thought process around it, justifiably so. But that's why it's so easy for people, and it's not just women. I'm not saying it's
Mm-hmm.
not just women doing this. I'm sure there's plenty of men out there who have made false accusations and stuff like that too. I'm not just saying it's just more common.
Yeah.
It's more common that way. That's why it's so easy for them to do it because it is a common thing. There's nothing that really can be done to them about it. This guy raped me. Even if there's no proof, well, he probably did it. Lock him up. That's how it works. It's easy for them to do it. They're like, aha, I got the guy. Let's move on with my life now. Things are
Again,
starting to
generally
change.
speaking, because some women do go to court and then their abusers get off.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just throwing the caveat. We're
Yes.
generally speaking.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, of
Absolutely.
course, it
Absolutely.
happens both
I'm,
ways too. But
I'm
yeah,
just I'm just trying to convey the fact that it's
yeah,
such a common thing that does happen that
yeah,
a false accuser sees that and goes, man, it's real easy just to say that. It'd be just as easy for me to say a guy raped me than a woman would. This guy raped me, right? I just tell
yeah.
the police I've got no evidence, I've got no nothing. It's very likely that that guy's going to be in some big trouble for that just because I said that. And
Well, now make it a 9-year-old girl and your own daughter
yeah,
who's been influenced more than likely. I don't know. Like I don't
yeah,
accuse anybody of anything, but like,
yeah, we'll never know, but more
yeah.
than likely,
Oh,
yes. And
is
and
she still saying those? She's still standing by her.
I don't
Oh
know.
man,
I really
fuck.
don't know, Todd. I haven't had any contact with her since.
Yeah.
I have not had any contact with her whatsoever. Uh, we had some contact with each other within the 4 months leading up to my arrest, between the allegation and the arrest. We were
Hmm.
still able to talk then. I tried to talk sense into her the best I could. She was obviously pretty influenced by someone or something. This how she responded to me. I won't get into that, but that was it
Yeah.
was it was hard to deal with. But I have not spoke with her in any way, going on 3 years now. I guess it would be maybe June or July of 22 is the last time I had any kind of conversation with her about anything.
Man. So
And
not only did it cost you millions of dollars, your your reputation, your job, your life,
the biggest cost of
you
all was my losing
you've
my
lost a
daughter.
child.
I lost the
Yeah.
child. That is the biggest. That's where it gets hard for me to talk about because I think about it all the time, and she's gone, man. And everybody, and it's real easy to say, oh, well, you can repair that relationship, blah blah blah. It's not that easy. Um, she's so influenced and so whatever on the other end, and it's so risky now. I just made it through this. What if it happens again, Todd? Um, what
Oh
it,
God. Yeah.
there's just,
Can imagine you're gun shy to. Yeah.
I
Oh my
love my
God,
daughter.
man.
I want to say this right now. I love my daughter very much. I still do. I miss her. I miss her. And who she is now, I don't know. I didn't, Todd,
Yeah.
I hadn't seen her in so long that I didn't recognize her when she walked into the courtroom, when she sat on the stand. If I would have passed her on the street, I would have known who she was. And
Mm.
um, I have a vision of her. My last visit of her, before she moved to Minnesota, she was a sweet little girl who liked Legend of Zelda. She liked playing video games. She liked stuffed animals, horses, writing stories, Roblox. She was a kid, man, and we were tight. We had a good relationship. We got along well. Nothing but love. Nothing. Just it could. It. I'm not going to say it was perfect. I'm divorced from my mom. I see her, on every other weekend and maybe one night during the week. We had a relationship. I was there. We were tight. Um, it was good, man. It really was good. It really was good. And now that's just all gone. And she's 13 years old now. I hope she's doing good. I hope she's somehow navigating through this. You know, like me. I have
Mm.
no idea. I have no idea how she's doing, man. I don't know where she is. I don't, and I don't know anything about her anymore. All that I know is that she's not here anymore. I'm trying not to do this right now. I'm fighting it hard, but uh, I think about her every day, and uh, it's not just about me now either. I have a whole family to worry about, and my kids aren't very receptive to the idea of her coming back. I will say that,
Mm.
especially my son.
Like your oh, I
My
see
two
your
other
other kids
children,
and
my
your
two other
parents
children
and
that are here with me that I see all the time, that I'm with, their moms supported me through the whole ordeal. They knew I didn't do it, and my
mm.
kids are
God,
very
that's tough.
hesitant to have her come back in our lives because they almost lost their dad because of it. They did lose me basically for a couple of years. I got to
Yeah.
see them, but few and far between with their mom sitting right there. That's not quality time. Even it was good. It was good that we got to do it, but it's just kicks
Yeah.
you in the gut. That you have to
Yeah.
have a supervised visit with your kid for something you didn't do. But I'm not. I don't like saying my ex-wife's name. I don't like saying my daughter's name. But I do
Hmm.
want to say that I do love her. I do miss her. I hope she's okay.
Your
Um,
daughter, not your ex-wife.
yeah. Oh yeah, my daughter.
Sorry.
Definitely not my
Sorry.
ex-wife. I hope my
Yeah.
ex-wife sees all the comments that are left about her uh, on
Mm.
these videos because they say just as many bad things about me as they do her. They say just as many things about
Mm.
her that they do me. So I hope she I hope she sees that and feels a little bit of what I do. That's all I'll say to her about that. But I
Do you
can't tell
think?
you enough how big the hole in my heart will probably always be that she's
Oh fuck.
gone and maybe someday, you know, it's real easy to say, "Oh, you can do it. You can be in her life." It's not really that easy, man. There's a lot of factors. There's a huge risk factor, but I
Right.
do hope to someday, but I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe when she's an adult, maybe when she's 18, maybe sooner, maybe later. I don't know, man. But I just really
Yeah.
hope she's doing all right, and I hope she's I hope she's getting the help that she needs, and I hope she's going to school and doing all that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah. Um. You. Okay. This is a hypothetical. I don't know
Okay.
the full situation, but say your ex-wife sees a psychiatrist, finds out this was her mental illness, and she's on. They give her meds, and she goes through treatment, and she's like healthy and stable, and is like, "Oh fuck, I've done this to Matt," and she approached you and apologized and was like, "For we're assuming she's part of all of this. Would you accept her apology?"
I'd be willing to listen.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know if I'd be able to accept that apology, but I would be open to hearing her out and having a
Right.
conversation. I think I can say that. I think it would probably take a while for. There would probably have to be a pretty long apology over the course of a
Right.
long period of time.
Right.
I'm very forgiving. I am a very non-judgmental person, and that makes it hard for me to see all these hateful comments about me too, because I'm not that way. Somebody can say, Todd's a piece of shit, don't hang out with him. I'll be like, well, until he's a piece of shit to me, I think Todd's a great guy. Until he's a piece of shit to me, I'm going to, everybody has a clean slate with me. Just because somebody says something about you doesn't mean I'm going to necessarily agree. I'm going to find out for myself. I'm like, you know
I
what?
quite often do the opposite.
Yeah, maybe
It's like,
maybe this guy thinks you're a piece of shit because you were a piece of shit to them. You know?
exactly,
So,
right. I was gonna say I've gone to workplaces and they're like, "Don't talk to Jimmy. He's a dick." And it's my first week there, and I'm like, well, "Guess what? I'm not talking to you because
yeah,
you're bullshit."
yeah, I'm the same way. And you know, I'll be like, you know what? Jimmy's actually pretty cool, so you're probably the asshole and not him.
Yeah.
But I'd be open to it, but it's not going to happen. I mean,
Well, yeah.
I did get reached out to by her daughter recently, and
A different daughter.
no, my
Not
daughter's
your daughter.
yeah, my ex-wife's other daughter, who's much older.
Gotcha.
And I
Okay.
won't go into the full details of what she said, but it was very telling what she did say. She said, I just saw your interview. I follow Soft White Underbelly. I watch him all the time. And I have absolutely nothing to say about the situation with my sister. And then she went into some other shit that didn't happen. What she told me, Todd, without telling me, is that even she doesn't believe it. And even they don't believe it happened over there on the other end. She goes, I don't want to talk about that. I got nothing to say about that, blah, blah, blah. And then she started talking about bunch of other stuff that I won't get into that never happened as well. Other false accusations that they've made against me. But even her sister doesn't believe it. That's on the other side of it. Like she's like, you would think she'd be one, you know, fighting it. Even she doesn't believe it. Think about that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's rough,
Man.
buddy.
Yeah.
It's rough, man.
Yeah. Oh man.
If anybody would like to follow and see what I'm doing next, or follow my music, or I have a show that's going to be starting soon, similar to Todd's. It's going to be called Breaking the Chains, where I talk to people like me and share stories of, you know, wrongful conviction and malicious prosecution and false accusations and things like that. Just, you know, Matt Huett on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find. Facebook, Instagram. I have a GoFundMe if you care to help me get back on my feet. A lot of people have. I was encouraged to do it. The links are on my YouTube channel. I have a lot of music out there. Just search my name, Apple, Spotify, whatever. I've got like 10 or so albums of stuff if you want to check out some music. You know, it's YouTube. Oh, I have a Facebook page that I've partnered with another group. It's called Frontier Justice. That's got about 15,000 followers now. So if you want to check that out and see more stories like mine and this, and learn more about this kind of stuff, check out Frontier Justice on Facebook. And you can find me just about anywhere. If you have a story like mine and you want to share it, or if you want to talk to somebody that's been through it, I'm here for you. So if you are somebody who needs help or guidance, or just want somebody that can relate to you and talk to you, send me a message. Feel free to send me a private message, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Leave a comment on how to get a hold of you on YouTube, and I'm here for you.
Awesome. Wow. Thanks, man. This is.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah,
Thanks for giving me a
awesome.
chance to do.
Very brave of you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's either brave or stupid.
Be sure to subscribe and to like this video. You can listen on Apple Podcast and Spotify. This is Todd Rennebaum saying, make your beds and take your meds. Keep watching for more interviews with incredible people telling their stories of resilience and adversity with mental health and mental illness.